Hey guys, what's poppin'? It's Waves here with another banger. Today we're having a Vayne guide, yes, the updated version since the bot lane shenanigans, and I'll make sure to explain more about the build and my opinion about it. So the guide will contain how to play Vayne, how to build Vayne, her runes, and so on. You get the point, so let's get right into it. As many of you know, Vayne is my favorite champion in League. She's the one that got me out of Silver where I was stuck for like 2 years, and I'm very emotionally attached to her, okay? Now, I'm not saying she's the only champion that does that, but she gave me an ability to believe that there is a chance we can win a horrible game because, well, I was playing Vayne. You know, my favorite thing about this champion is that unlike most of the hyper carries, Vayne late game is kind of independent, meaning you don't have to rely on your team as much. You're a duelist, you can pretty much duel anyone late game as long as you have your ulti up. Yeah, it's true, she's not that good in lane, her range is horrible, her position in teamfights is much different than the standard AD carry position, but that's the price you gotta pay if you want to be an edgy badass late game, I guess. So to come to the conclusion, if you want to play an edgy, risk-taking marksman that can pretty much one-shot late game and duel anyone, you've come to the right spot, motherfucker. Alright, so before we get into the more simpler explanation of Vayne's abilities, I just gotta ask if you could please subscribe to my channel. It would mean shit tons to me. Like, it supports me, it supports what I do, and just gives me motivation to do better. And it kinda lets me know that you guys actually like my poor ass, which is a big bonus, I guess. First up, we'll cover Vayne's abilities with more basic understanding, meaning everybody will probably be able to understand this. So to begin, we have her passive, the Night Hunter, where you basically get bonus movement speed if you're chasing someone's ass. On top of that, if you have ulti, the movement speed bonus is tripled from 30 to 90. Now, isn't that great? Afterwards, we have your Q, and that is Tumble. Tumble is where Vayne dashes forward, dealing bonus damage on her next basic attack. Also, if you're in the fucking Discord, man. Also, if you're in the ulti form, it makes you go invisible for like 1 second on cast. Then we have her W, which is a passive ability called Silver Bolts. I don't think I need to explain this one since it's pretty self-explanatory. It would just be weird if you didn't know what this is, but eh. On the third attack, the Ring or the Silver Bolt procs, dealing bonus true damage. Also, don't forget that you can also proc the Silver Bolt with the next ability we'll be covering, and that is her E, Condemn. Condemn allows Vayne to fire a heavy bolt, knocking an opponent back, and if you knock them up against the wall, well, they get stunned. In my opinion, this is a very important ability because you can basically screw up and not get that important kill, but in the same time, it can also save your life like countless times, so make sure to use this shit wisely. And for the end, we have our ulti final hour, the most badass thing in the game, boys. This is where you take that big ass crossbow off your back and start swerving on them haters. But no, for real, you get like a damage steroid, meaning it increases your damage by quite a bit. Also, when you tumble, you get to be invisible as we mentioned, and your movement speed triples. Alright, now that we had a little explanation of her abilities, before I give out some more in-depth tips on how you should be playing Vayne, we'll cover her build and runes first. So, getting to know what build feels good on Vayne was actually quite rough, not gonna lie, but here we go. First off, you'll most likely be building Doran's shield because playing Vayne in the lane is very underwhelming at the moment. She gets bullied by pretty much everyone, her short range is pretty much the cause of her not being able to trade properly, so yeah. Also, Doran's blade can be good in some situations, but that's only if you have a winning matchup and you're confident in your ability to win, but that's about it. Afterwards, an ideal thing would be to get a BF sword. Reason being is that some extra damage will allow you to farm much better, especially under the tower, and it will also give you some fighting chance. Then we want to complete our first item, and that is Static Shift. In my opinion, this is a super good item on Vayne since her ability to wave clear is like horrible compared to the other AD carries. Also, it just feels good when you proc that shift stacks onto the minion wave. it's very inspiring. But for real though, it's a great item that will allow you to farm much better, push the waves faster, which will force rotations and most likely annoy your enemies. Afterwards, we want to get our second big item, which is Infinity Edge. In the past, people were going for Infinity Edge first, but that is no longer possible due to the recent changes of the item. IE will grant us tons of damage that will finally grant us an ability to kill somebody properly mid-game, which is pretty damn great, not gonna lie. It also synergizes greatly with the static shiv and the next item we're going to be building, and that is Rapid Fire Cannon. I can't emphasize enough how important this item is on Vayne in my opinion. It synergizes so well with your passive and it adds up to your short range, which is so damn great late game. It will give you an enormous advantage in team fights, also in chasing and dueling. So those are 3 core items that will make Vayne become pretty damn good. Having these 3 items will already enable you to carry the games on your own. Afterwards, it's pretty much situational, but since you're an AD carry and where the current meta is going at, I'd suggest building something like Mercurial Scimitar because of the QSS effect, and Guardian's Angel for the survival, because you can carry when you're dead, right? So yeah. However, if they don't have a lot of problematic CC, you should go for the Bloodthirster instead of Mercurial Scimitar because the lifesteal is just insane and it will enable you to flex on them hoes, I guess. The conclusion is that I was testing couple of guides, couple of builds, and from what I've learned is that people usually prefer to rush Storm Razor into Rapid Fire Cannon or get the BF Sword Static Shiv into Infinity Edge. Also, people like to rush the Blade of the Ruined King, which seems like pretty consistent option to me, not gonna lie, but I haven't tested it that much, so I just wouldn't talk about something I don't know. But to me, this is what covers Vayne. She's a late game champion, and while this build might delay your early and mid game, it will definitely make you insane late game, I promise. Now, to quickly cover the runes part, in my opinion, it should pretty much stay the same as before, meaning the standard hyper carry rune page, which is this. Many people got discouraged after the nerfs of fleet footwork, but it's not that bad considering it helps you survive the lane more than the preferred choice, which is press the attack. And in my professional opinion, it's just hard to proc the press the attack due to Vayne being more of an all-in champion than just being out there poking them from a distance. Of course, scenarios happen where press the attack is more useful, but in my opinion, this build is all about the late game and we need tools to survive the laning phase, and that's where the fleet footwork comes in. The secondary tree, as you guys can see, is sorcery. We pick celerity because the movement speed synergizes very greatly with the fleet, and also we have the gathering storm, and this is just a must go on every hyper carry in my opinion. Alright, enough of my opinions. I just want to say thank you so much if you've made it this far. I really appreciate it. And just thought to put this out there, but it's not going great right now in real life issues. Hashtag. And I've raised a Patreon because of that, so if you wish to keep the videos going for some reason, it would be really nice if you could become my Patreon. The link is in the description, and even if you don't, I just want to say thank you. Anyways, now that we know something about the champion and how to build her properly, I give you guys an idea of how Vayne should be played throughout the game. So first up, we have the early stage of the game, and this is pretty much where you wait for your opponent to make a mistake. In lower elo, it is very possible for Vayne to have no consequences in the lane from my experience, but as you're moving higher up, people know how to punish you for playing such a weak early game champion. So just make sure to find a way to survive the hell, try and fight back if possible. Basically just look for mistakes, since the enemy AD carry will have a better wave clear than you and more range. If they don't make any dumb mistakes, you will just have to like pray to Jesus or something. After that comes the mid game, and this is pretty much where your ass stops to get completely whooped. Here, slowly you're going to stop being dependent on your support. You will become like a bird that's able to break the chains of your Bronze 3 Bard and fly high into the sky. This is where you get the Static Shiv and Infinity Edge, and you can finally wave clear properly and even catch some kills. Here primarily you're going to be looking to get a Drake or some objectives, maybe swap lanes with the top lane if you have won your lane super hard and got the tower early. It's very situational and that's what makes it good. Be creative, my friends. Hashtag Bob Ross. So now that you hashtag Bob Ross to the mid game, the late game will be a piece of cake. In the team fights, rapid fire cannon will allow you to poke and shiv proc someone's ass, and that actually hurts considering you're playing Vayne late game. Here you want to look for a cheeky advantage that you can get for your team. For example, if you see anyone wandering around the map, you want to try and assassinate them because it will give your team an advantage in team fights, because 5v4s is almost always a win late game for you unless somebody screws up like big time. But the whole point of it is that you want to be creative with Vayne late game and choose to play her either as an assassin that is trying to catch somebody if they overstep or something, or be there with your team and wait for an engage in the team fights. And that will be pretty much it. If you've made it this far, holy shit dude, this is like my longest video, and I'll make sure to put a lot of effort into the future videos like I did into this one. If you're looking for league content, this is definitely a right place for you. Only adjustment I'm making to my channel is that I'm opening League of Drama series where I'll be covering like all the drama pretty much. So if you're like me and you enjoy a good league based drama or some tips and tricks on how to climb and guides, this is definitely a place for you. So make sure to smash that button, boy. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and please, if you're able to consider, please subscribe to me on Patreon. I'd literally like kiss you in real life or something. Thank you so much for watching, and peace out.